we should have high-density data of the wind and the pressure, and video that was captured from an unmanned camera system. The science part of it always excites me.
Mark, it's Mike Laurie. Really good to hear your voice. How are things, how does this rank up with the other storms that you've chased?
Oh, every one of them's different, Michael. You know, it's incredible. I think the feel of the hurricane reminds me a lot of Ivan in 2004, but Ivan was in Gulf Shores, Alabama. That's part of the Gulf of Mexico coastline, of course, landlocked to the north. I'm on an island here in the Atlantic Ocean. It is different than anything I've ever experienced, especially the little peeping tree frogs in the eye.
No doubt about it. Hey, this data and the video that you've captured here, what do you hope to do with that?
Oh, wow. The wind data, we're talking about a measurement that goes into our computer from the anemometer every single second. And then the computer makes it into a 60-second average, so we get the maximum sustained wind for that minute, and then the peak gust for that minute. All of that was recorded since before the winds really started picking up. Hopefully still going on now. Pressure the same way. I want to retrieve that, analyze it, chart it, share it, make sure Bermuda Weather Service has it, National Hurricane Center. It'll be the best meteorological data that me and my group who have helped to make it happen have ever collected.
Mark, you're not too far from the causeway. Have you been able to go out and kind of survey what that looks like? We've been talking about how that's such an important lifeline for the island.
Right, I wish that I could, and the incomparable Jim Eds, just a phenomenal chaser's not the right word. There's got to be a better word for this, because what he does is so important too with the documentation. Even for him to go out there is just too dangerous. You're tired. You spend, the energy. It's dark. Better yet, better left for the local officials to survey it once we get to first light. So I really couldn't tell you. I wouldn't want to try to even speculate.
And Mark, obviously from a scientific point of view, this is amazing, this kind of data that you are able to get. But talk to us about a personal perspective. You went through the eye of a hurricane, the second tropical system to move through Bermuda in less than a week.
Right. The odds of this happening at all have to be extraordinary. Had I been here for Faye, that would have been, I'd have to start playing Powerball often had I been here for Faye, too. And people were remarking about that in the lobby here, the management and some of the staff. They could not believe that they have been in the eye of a tropical cyclone. We don't know if Faye was officially a hurricane over Bermuda. Maybe it will be upgraded as the post-analysis happens, but they have remarked about that, the residents here. They themselves just can't believe it. And a small island, incredible odds for this to happen. I hate to sound excited about it because it's still a bad event, but right. Wow, the odds really came. How do you explain that, So we're going to have to all wrap our brains around it. It's hard to do.
No doubt about it. And we really don't want to tempt you to start, a gambling habit. You're gambling enough with all this science and the storm chasing. What can we anticipate now, you think, here for the next few hours?
Well, I was talking to the residents about that live here and haven't been through anything in a while, especially direct hit. And if I may, let's talk about the eye wall and the eye real quick. And I think Michael would agree with me, especially here. Had this been an especially intense hurricane, dare I say, like Typhoon Haiyan, with a sharp, definitive eye, then the winds would have dropped off extremely fast to zero and then ramped up extremely fast like Charlie did that I was in the center of 10 years ago. It was on and off like a light switch. Explaining to the folks here that this is a more gradual process, right, because this hurricane is a little bit more disorganized, and I was explaining how it's pick your poison.
Mark,
it's still bad, but
thank you so much. Great perspective. We'll be right back.
Currently in our area, 72 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
This is our new turkey cranberry flatbread before we craft it into a sandwich. The amazingly tender roasted turkey, always raised without antibiotics. The zesty cranberry mostarda. The freshly baked flatbread. But here's what you don't always see. The care and attention that goes into it. Because what matters most is the simple, delicious ingredients that make up the whole delicious meal made just for you. And this is our turkey cranberry flatbread sandwich paired perfectly with our autumn squash soup. Only at Panera Bread.
It's a great day to try Panera Bread's Fuji Apple Chicken Salad.
We put all the apps you love inside a car designed to connect you to a world of possibilities. The Connected Car by Volvo. Innovating for you.
This is Gordon. Downtown for a sales call. West Side for a presentation. Meeting after meeting after meeting. That's why Gordon stops at Exxon and Mobil for fuels that help his engine run cleaner, smoother, and with better fuel economy. So he can make it to the meeting that matters most. Gordon is energy. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here.
Many Americans who have prescriptions fail to stay on them. That's why we created programs which encourage people to take their medications regularly. So join us as we raise a glass to everyone who remembered today. Bottoms up, America. See you tomorrow. Same time. Another innovation from CVS Health. Because health is everything.
Just tell us your budget, and the Name Your Price tool helps you find a whole range of coverages. No one else gives you options like that. No one at all. No one at all. No. Wake up.
Oh, you okay, buddy? I just had a dream that Progressive had this thing called...
Your budget, and the Name Your Price tool helps you find a whole...
Isn't a dream, is it?
Nope. Sorry.
You know that thing freaks me out. He can hear you. He didn't mean that, Kevin.
Yes, he did.
Keeping our competitors up at night. Now that's Progressive.
Life lessons with Ziploc. The school supply list included 150 cat's eye marbles. If this bag breaks, a great school year could quickly slip away. That's not happening. Life needs Ziploc. S.C. Johnson.
A party?
Hi, I'm new Ensure Active Clear Protein Drink.
Clear, huh? My nutritional standards are high.
I'm not juice or fancy water. I've got 8 grams of protein.
Twist my lid. That's 3 times more than me.
17 vitamins and minerals.
And 0 fat.
You'll bring a lot to the party.
Yay!
New Ensure Active Clear Protein. 8 grams protein, 0 fat, 17 vitamins and minerals, and delicious blueberry pomegranate and mixed fruit. Take life in.
Welcome back to this special edition of Weather Center Live as we continue to track a very strong and still powerful Hurricane Gonzalo. It made landfall on the island of Bermuda at 9:30 their time, 8:30 Eastern time as a Category 2 with 110 miles per hour. Then we saw the eye begin to pass over the island. A very rare event. Things calmed down, and now the winds are beginning to pick back up again, and we're going to see more wind and waves and rain and surge.
So we are right in the middle of this thing. Basically, we are in the lab with our hurricane specialist, Michael Lowry, and we're also talking to storm chaser Mark Sudduth, who's actually on the ground there in Bermuda collecting all kinds of data. Mark, are you still there?
I am. Sorry about the ramble.
No, that's okay. Before
the
break, though, you were addressing Michael Lowry. You had a question for him, I believe.
Yeah, I think the main point here was talking about the sharpness of the eye. A well-developed eye and an intense hurricane would have been a much faster drop-off and then a quicker increase like Charlie was in 2004, whereas this was more disorganized, it's weakening, and trying to explain that to the residents that here's what's going to happen over the next few hours. And I think that they appreciate hearing it from somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Mark, it's a very good point in that, traditionally if you have a very well-formed hurricane, it moves over, almost cloud-free, calm eye of the hurricane, people will go out and start to survey the damage that's going on. But in this case, it's kind of ragged in the middle, and as I was saying, you're getting these little filaments on the side of it, and the wind's coming up now. It could be catching a lot of people off guard that went out there to look at the damage in the middle of the hurricane.
That's right, and I think now, looking out my window here towards the bay, it's coming back in earnest. This isn't a filament at this point. I can step outside a little bit on the balcony. You can hear the wind hitting a little bit here. It's really coming back now, but it's just amazing how different every one of these are. No two are alike, that is for sure. Not just cliche.
And Mark, I'm amazed that we're able to even talk to you in the midst of all this. Tell us about, where you're hunkering down tonight to try to stay safe from this hurricane.
Well, a lot of that is luck. I chose the Grotto Bay Resort. I know some chasers that have been here before, and they have their own power system tied into the airport. I have lights, I have power, air conditioning, internet, and so I'm doing this interview here via Skype. That's just incredible. I'm safe. People are eating. This is like our own little oasis in the storm.
It really is. I mean, we're getting all kinds of reports in of the damage that Gonzalo has already wreaked, and also the power outages. 30,000, more than 30,000 out of about 35,000 customers on the island without power. You really are kind of one of the lucky ones tonight. Maybe it would be a good idea for you to buy a Powerball ticket.
It just keeps adding up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, for me, the data tomorrow, getting that data tomorrow, I have to fly out Sunday. I want that wind data and pressure data, and if I get that, then I'll consider myself 100% lucky. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, Mark, just the general attitude of everybody there. You're with folks. How are they taking this? Are they taking it in stride? Are people there nervous, especially with Faye, less than a week ago?
Some of them were nervous, and I think maybe a little agitated that, sort of really within a few days of each other, give us a break. But in really good stride. These are some of the warmest people, most giving and unselfish that I have ever met. I can only imagine that when I fly out of here and they start the recovery process, how well they're probably going to work together and help each other out just by what I have seen. Bermuda is an incredible place.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, just about 30 seconds left, but hopefully you do get out of there on Sunday because we are concerned about the airport, and the storm surge with this thing.
Yes, I wonder if I'm going to have to start getting my mail sent here. I think when we get the light tomorrow, will my luck run out and the causeway be damaged? We shall see.
All right, well, we hope that there is no major damage to the causeway, but obviously it did take a big hit during Hurricane Fabian back in 2003. Mark, we're going to get back on the line with Mark for sure as we get through the rest of this hurricane, Michael.
Good to see Mark in good spirits.
Yes, absolutely.
Good humor. This is a really awful day for Bermuda, but look, conditions will be improving. About 4 or 5 hours, things will be getting better.
All right. We still have the rest of the hurricane to get through, though.
Absolutely. As Mark was saying, the backside of this eye wall right now, moving over Bermuda.
All right. Our coverage of Hurricane Gonzalo continues right here on the Weather Channel.
Introducing Dance All You Want bladder leak protection from the experts in feminine protection. New Always Discreet underwear for sensitive bladders. Absorbs heavy leaks faster than the leading brand, so you can feel comfortably dry. Plus, a discreet fit that hugs your curves. You barely feel it. New Always Discreet. Now bladder leaks can feel like no big deal. Because, hey, pee happens. Visit alwaysdiscreet.com for coupons and your free sample.
You
you're going to want to watch 7 a.m. on AMHQ.
This is a big weather morning.
The biggest weather hour anywhere. What you watch in the morning matters.
Is your weather geeky this morning?
Make AMHQ your morning show. America's morning headquarters. Weekday mornings starting live at 7 Eastern on the Weather Channel.
Every Sunday, a new tale of weather legend. American Supernatural, Sunday nights at 10 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 72 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
They call it a minivan, but there's nothing mini about it. Say goodbye to the two-seater and hello to parenthood.
Allstate can help you save an average of $3,000 on a new car. Let an Allstate agent surprise you by helping you get a deal on the car you might not want, but really need. Plus, call now and get 2 safe driving bonus checks a year for driving safe.
Just a few more ways. The good hands are doing more than ever before.
Call 866-538-7521 now.
There. Hot stuff.
Not turning the thermostat down.
That's not what I was doing. I was just having fun. Come here. Nice and tight. Atta girl.
Daddy.
There's a sweet spot. Hold on. That didn't happen in practice.
There's a better way.
Will that be all, sir?
Thank you. Ordering Chinese food is a very predictable experience. I order B14, I get B14. No surprises. Buying business internet, on the other hand, can be a roller coaster white-knuckle thrill ride. You're promised one speed, but do you consistently get it? You do with Comcast Business, and often even more. It's reliable, just like Kung Pao fish. Thank you, Pink.
Reliably fast internet starts at $89.95 a month. Comcast Business, built for business.
Before the intervention, before I went to rehab, when it got really out of hand, I was calling out of work. I wasn't coming home. My husband and I were arguing. My responsibility to my business, to my clients, and to others just went completely out the door.
That's when we knew we had to do something. We needed to all jump in, and my son felt confident that this person could help, and he did. Since her intervention, she's an absolute delight, and I can't stop smiling when I see her.
If someone you know is struggling with drug or alcohol addiction, please call or visit us at interventionnow.com.
Trade commissions. Looking for a new breed of broker? There's a name for people like you. Trade King. Switch today.
7 a.m. on AMHQ.
Let's get you in front of today's weather.
The biggest weather hour anywhere.
What a gorgeous start.
Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Welcome back to this special edition of Weather Center Live as we continue to follow the progress of Hurricane Gonzalo as it has made its way now, or it's making its way over the island of Bermuda. We're already beginning to see the wind pick up now, back to hurricane strength wind gusts in many locations around Bermuda.
Officially making landfall at 8:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Bermuda time is a Category 2 with winds of 110 miles per hour. But we're not done with this dangerous hurricane yet.
No. And Michael Lowry here to talk about Gonzalo as well as another hurricane there near Hawaii. But I tell you what, this is the strong one.
Amazingly, 2 islands, very small islands in large oceans that are being threatened or impacted by tropical cyclones. Pretty incredible stuff. Hey, let's talk about what's happening right now, Nick. You were alluding to this. The eye wall, the backside of this, now the island of Bermuda right in here. This radar image, a few minutes old, but that is now over Bermuda. I'm seeing wind gusts now to 90 miles per hour on the south side of the island. So they're going to be in the second, basically, peak of the winds over the next hour or two. And then hopefully conditions beginning to improve by the early morning hours.
And winds coming from a different direction, Michael.
Very good point, Kelly. Yes, instead of coming from the east that we've seen all day, they're now coming squarely from the west, and that's again creating some problems from those low-lying areas, especially in the south side. Really, the storm surge and the coastal flooding wave threat is greatest south part of the island. They're getting that right now, so that's my big concern in addition to the winds.
So we really haven't seen the worst of that yet.
Unfortunately not, no. I mean, we had the worst of the winds, I think. In some spots, certainly we could see those gusts just as high as we had earlier, but the worst of the storm surge, I think, is probably happening right now.
Wow.
Or coming up. Hey, I want to show you this really cool microwave picture here. This is sort of a glance down through the clouds of this hurricane. Bermuda's up here. Let's see, right in here. It's approaching, and you can see how you get this little last vestige of that inner part of the hurricane, the worst of it, literally right over. So it's the strongest part of this hurricane. I mean, it's just so remarkable to me that not only did the eye pass over, but the strongest part of the eye, that little orange-red part closest to the center, moved right over the island. So I'm telling you, they got the worst of this.
And the good news is it's moving right along. It's moving at a fairly good clip.
It is. It's at 60 miles per hour. It's going to accelerate off to the northeast because there's this big dip in the jet stream off to the west of it. You can see some of that dry air now wrapping in on the west side. All of that orange, red color, very dry air at the mid to upper part of the atmosphere. That's going to help to weaken this. It's also tugging it, literally just pulling it to the north. So really, come tomorrow morning, we could start to see clearing out of the skies there in Bermuda. The weather's going to improve pretty quickly, I think, there. So that's the good part, is they can then begin the cleanup.
So the worst of the wind, the worst of the surge, still to come maybe over the next couple of hours or so?
Yeah, next few hours, if we can get through, just hunker down. If you can get through the next few hours there in Bermuda, I promise you things will be getting better in terms of the wind and the coastal flooding threat.
In the meantime, we've got Ana threatening Hawaii.
Yeah, Kelly, let's talk about this one. Winds 80 miles per hour. This is the strongest that Ana has been. You'll notice it's 200 miles south of Hilo in the Big Island of Hawaii. That's the good part of this. For a while there, the models, our computer models, the spaghetti plots that we often show, all across the island there. But now most of our models have shifted to the west and keeping this storm away from all of the islands. Nevertheless, they are under a tropical storm watch. That means tropical storm conditions are possible here over the next, say, 36 to 48 hours. As this gets a little bit close here, there's a big ridge of high pressure that's going to pull off to the east, and that's going to allow us to gain a little bit of latitude, maybe get close to Kauai and nearing Oahu, but I do think that most of the winds are going to stay to the south of them from this. Weakening. That's the good part, too.
What about the outer rain bands, though, Michael?
Some of the outer rain bands, I think the most impacts they're going to get are in terms of wave and wave action along the coast, and that can be, of course, very dangerous, even for the most experienced surfers. So this is one that, we were looking at earlier, but I think really the threat is now beginning to come down.
So the threat of flooding, mudslides that we earlier were thinking might be a reality, probably not as great now.
Well, and this would have been a big, I mean, it still is a story, but it would have been a huge story had it come across the Big Island of Hawaii. Never in recorded history has there been a hurricane that's made landfall on the Big Island of Hawaii. But we did have a tropical storm that made landfall there earlier this year, back in August. That was Tropical Storm Isel, and it caused all sorts of damage there in parts of the Big Island, and they're still cleaning up from that. So really, they could use the break, and thankfully, you can see most of the winds. These are the really tropical storm force winds. As I put this into motion, you can see how most of those winds stay to the south of all of the islands, really.
All right, Michael, we just got a brand new advisory from the National Hurricane Center regarding Hurricane Gonzalo. New information. It looks like the winds are still 110 miles per hour.
Still Category 2 hurricane and moving still north-northeast at 16.
All right. We'll be talking more with you, as well as all the folks out there on Bermuda that we've been talking with as well. We'll try to get back in touch with them to see how it's going.
Currently in our area, 72 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook. Live from the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
Hurricane Gonzalo making a direct hit on Bermuda here tonight, and this was what it looked like as Gonzalo slammed this tiny island out in the Atlantic. A Category 2 hurricane has winds of 110 miles per hour, so it's still a Category 2, still winds of 110 miles per hour, and we're already seeing those hurricane force wind gusts on Bermuda.
All right, thanks so much for joining us as we are tracking Hurricane Gonzalo. New information just in from the National Hurricane Center. The winds are still very strong, 110 miles per hour within the eye wall surrounding the center of our hurricane. It is moving toward the north-northeast at 16 miles per hour. We are in the lab now with our hurricane specialist, Michael Lowry, looking at the new information on that advisory. The speed, the forward speed, that changed a little bit?
It's still 16 miles per hour. Yeah, they're issuing these at 1 hourly intervals. So don't really expect a whole lot of change, but in a few hours here, it will begin to speed up. And don't let the disheveled appearance though fool you. I mean, this one has those 110 miles per hour winds. They're definitely there on the backside of this hurricane. Already getting reports at Commissioner's Point of 102 miles per hour. Commissioner's Point is on sort of the south end of Bermuda. This is the island here, Commissioner's Point. It's that little hook there at the very end. This is the radar picture. Backside of the storm right in here, and that is moving over them right now. So they have to get through this band. This is a very, very strong band here as it moves through. And then maybe conditions will start to improve a little bit come the early morning hours there.
And Michael, it's almost amazing. You look at this maybe with an untrained eye and you think, hey, they're still right in the middle of the eye.
Right.
Why do we have so much wind going on here?
Yeah, because, I mean, this radar loop's just a few minutes old. The other thing, too, is that, you know, the winds are coming down. These thunderstorms, they drive the winds down to the surface here. So just, you can't look right underneath these. The downbursts that are coming down can extend away from the actual rain bands themselves.
Now, the northern eye wall moved through first with very strong winds, over 100 miles per hour. Then, of course, they got into the eye, and we were hearing the tree fogs for a little while there. It got very, very calm, and folks were actually venturing out in the middle of all this.
Yeah, that's the danger. Kelly, you were asking me, okay, when are we going to get the backside of this? You know, I was guessing maybe half an hour to an hour.
Well, you were right.
Yeah, that's what ended up happening, but it's just hard to be that precise. This is not just a perfectly symmetrical eye. In other words, the winds don't just start right at this line here. I mean, they can start here. Oftentimes, these little filaments will kind of break off from the eye wall. These are live pictures now, and just listen for a minute to the wind. And the winds are just roaring, Kelly.
It's almost like static, you know, but that is the strong wind that is just sustained, you know, around 90, 100 miles per hour.
And remember, we were saying, you know, the initial kind of brunt of the storm comes through, tears down all those, the trees and the power lines and the broken glass and the plywood. All of that's on the ground. And then the backside comes, picks it up, and they become very dangerous and deadly projectiles.
And these winds are going to be coming from a different direction than before, and perhaps there could be things that made it through without damage the first time around and won't be so lucky this time.
Yeah, they're vulnerable now. Yeah.
Right, exactly right, Nick. Let's talk a little bit, too. You were saying earlier how the coastal flood threat is going to be a little higher, especially in the south part of this island as this moves, sort of the backside of this moves ashore. What you're seeing highlighted in red, Kelly and Nick, that's the lowest lying areas on the island, the areas that are less than 15 feet above sea level. The Hurricane Center is saying that 10 feet of storm surge, wave action, flooding possible along the coast. So those are the areas that are most at risk, most vulnerable. Earlier, those winds were out of the east, so piling up water over on this side. Now those winds have turned around from the west. And what it's doing is this is really the most storm surge vulnerable, susceptible part of the island. It's where the waters are most shallow. Over here on the eastern side, the waters drop off from basically very shallow here to 2,000 or 3,000 foot deep right off the coast here. Not so much here on this side. With those winds, they shift over to the west, and now you're beginning to pile up water here on the west-facing shoreline. So Morgan's Point, got to watch out for them. The harbor areas, anywhere the coast kind of caves inward, those are areas that are most at risk. And then up in here near Hamilton, we've been talking a lot about the Bermuda Electrical Company, their power company, right in here in a very low-lying area, only 5 to 10 feet, say, above mean sea level. Some of that water could push up into the stream there that sort of adjoins this power plant, and I'm hoping this is not the case, but the authorities there, we were talking to them earlier, they're a little worried about this, kind of keeping an eye on that, this part of the storm, for this part of the storm.
All right, Michael, we're going to take a break with the expert analysis for just a moment because NBC's Dylan Dreyer, she's there in Bermuda and just went through the eye of the storm.
Angry seas erupted today as the massive Hurricane Gonzalo bears down on Bermuda. Damaging winds, 40-foot waves, and a dangerously high storm surge slamming the island. Looking at a map, Bermuda looks like the tiniest little speck out in the ocean. So how could it possibly stand up to such a huge storm? Well, imagine Bermuda like a stick in the water, and the water just simply goes around it, as opposed to that snowplow effect we're so used to on the United States coast. Most of Bermuda is shut down, and the police commissioner has ordered everyone inside and off the streets. For Sarah Mays Kleemeyer, that means taking shelter at her hotel.
They've cleaned everything up, put everything away, so we'll be okay, I hope.
Peter and Barbara McKinnon of New Hampshire got married 50 years ago today in Boston during a hurricane.
We have weathered a lot of storms, but we have gotten through all of them.
Fabian was the last Category 3 storm to hit in 2003. Bermuda's higher elevation increases winds by 30%, so wind gusts up to 160 miles per hour can be expected. Rob Johnson and Dana Belkey plan to get married tomorrow. Tonight, they're waiting it out with their wedding party in the Fairmont Hotel basement.
When we got in here and they'd given us the update, I looked at my bride-to-be and she looked at me and she said, "We came to Bermuda to get married, and I'm not leaving this island until we get married."
We wish them well.
That's going to be some great wedding
We're never going to forget it.
All right, so what do we have to deal with here over the next couple of hours, Michael?
Good news, if you look at the water vapor picture, Nick, is that some dry air is wrapping on the west side of this. You can see that the orange, the red colors, that should help to continue to weaken this, also accelerate it. It's a dip in the jet stream. It's caught up in that, so that flow is going to accelerate this off to the northeast, and you're going to get that northerly flow wrap around on the back side of it. Drier air, clear skies, at least clearer certainly than today, moving in for tomorrow, so that'll help with the cleanup efforts as people kind of wake up and pick up.
And thankfully, it's moving right along, but still a few inches of rain possible with this as well.
3 to 6 inches is what the Weather Service there is calling for, so that could lead to some localized areas of rainfall flooding.
All right, once again, we're monitoring this live stream from Bermuda, where, of course, it's dark, but we still have some lights, but most of the island is without power.
Yeah, and it's just a few little bright spots out in the darkness. We may tend to see more power go out now as we see the winds begin to pick up now to hurricane force. Stay with us for more on Hurricane Gonzalo. We'll also talk about our other hurricane, Ana.
Dad, I know I haven't said this often enough, but thank you.
Thank you, Mom, for protecting my future.
Thank you for being my hero and my dad.
Military families are uniquely thankful for many things. The legacy of USAA Auto Insurance could be one of them. If you're a current or former military member or their family, get an auto insurance quote and see why 92% of our members plan to stay for life.
You change your style. Why not your eye color? New Air Optics Colors prescription contact lenses enhance your eye color for a naturally beautiful look with consistent comfort. Find your perfect color and get a free trial offer at airopticscolors.com.
It's easy to buy insurance and forget about it. But the more you learn about your coverage, the more gaps you might find. Like how you thought you were covered for this.
Check it out, Mom.
When you're really only covered for this. Or how you figured you're covered for this when you're actually paying for this. You might be surprised at what's hiding in your coverage. Talk to Farmers and get smarter about your insurance.
We are Farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Call 1-800-FARMERS and see how much you could save.
It's just freaking me out.
If you missed this Sunday night on the Weather Channel,
this is crazy.
You'll never know how twisted weather can be.
Is it real? Yeah, it's real.
Wicked Weather Sundays with strangest weather on Earth and American Supernatural. Every Sunday night at 9, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 72 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
On AMHQ.
Let's get you in front of today's weather.
The biggest weather hour anywhere.
What a gorgeous start.
Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Okay, Patrick, one more stop. Let's go base, shark, blitz. Base, shark, blitz.
When the game's on the line.
Okay, this is for the game.
The NFL trusts Duracell Quantum to power their game day communication.
Plug 19's on. Abort, he's keeping it.
Duracell Quantum lasts up to 35% longer than the competition.
You can search hotel sites for so long that your hair goes out of style. Or use Kayak to search hundreds of hotel sites to find the best deal in seconds. Kayak. Search one and done.
Apples are good. A Strongbow hard cider, better. But Strongbow over ice is the best. Enjoying Strongbow over ice with your slow-motion horse? The bestest. Strongbow, world's #1 hard cider.
Welcome back to this special edition of Weather Center Live. I'm Nick Walker alongside Kelly Cass and hurricane expert Michael Lowry. We are continuing to monitor Hurricane Gonzalo, still a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 110 miles per hour. We saw wind gusts exceeding 125 up to 130 miles per hour when the northern part of the eye wall moved through, and then things got quiet. Now the winds are picking back up again, and we'll continue to see those hurricane force winds batter Bermuda for a while longer as the southern portion of the eye wall is now making its way over this tiny island. We'll also see the surge up too, particularly on the south shores, but drier air is infiltrating into this, and so it looks as if probably not as much of this thunderstorm, this convection on the south side of it, so perhaps it won't last as long. The winds, though, still are already gusting well above 100 miles per hour, and we'll see more of that. So still a Category 2 hurricane as we get through tonight and into tomorrow morning. Then it accelerates and really begins to move, but really doesn't die down to even a Category 1 hurricane until we get into Sunday. Then perhaps just grazing the Canadian Maritimes before it makes its way off toward the northeast. We still have those hurricane warnings up for the island of Bermuda. So if you're within the sound of my voice, if you've got power and you're watching us, hunker down. We've got a few more hours to go here before it's all done. Kelly?
And Nick, right now joining us on the phone is Weather Channel's Peter Neely. He's actually the Senior Vice President of Global Forecasting. Just happened to be there in Bermuda for not just Hurricane Faye or Tropical Storm Faye as it moved past Bermuda, but also now Hurricane Gonzalo. And Peter, I understand you were able to get out while the eye was directly over the island and kind of look around?
I did. We had about almost an hour of fairly calm weather. I got out, did a good walk around town. It's pretty dark, so it's not quite easy to see all of the damage that has occurred so far, but preliminary estimate was the damage wasn't that bad, and my perception was actually the damage was quite a bit worse during Faye than it was, at least on this front side of Gonzalo. I don't know if Faye happened to perhaps take out most of the things that would otherwise have been weak, and everything that was left was pretty hardy. Or not, but at least that's good news. My initial survey of the area right around me was it didn't seem as bad given how strong the winds were in this case.
So Peter, Nick Walker here. We still have a lot left to go here. The winds are already picking up now. What are you anticipating doing and seeing here for the next few hours?
Well, certainly the winds are picking up, and they have picked up. It's sort of early on the backside, but my general impression is it's not blowing nearly as hard as it was on the front side of the eye wall. There seemed to be a little bit of a convective regeneration on the north side of the eye wall just as it was passing over us, and I think that had a lot to do with the strong winds we had in the eye wall on that side. There's very little precipitation or convection on the south side, so I'm not just containing it as bad. Just a period of several hours of pretty strong winds, but perhaps nuisance winds almost in relative to what we had on the north side.
And really quick, Peter, it had to be pretty weird hearing all the tree frogs during the eye of the storm.
Right. The eye is an eerie beast, very silent, except for the tree frogs peeping and a few people out walking about, almost celebrating the respite from the storm before the backside comes.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, Peter, thanks so much. Peter Neely, our Senior Vice President for Global Forecasting. And, as those winds came in, we've had lots of power outages in the area. We're continuing to see a lot of power out. And we'll find ourselves with perhaps more.
More than 30,000 customers without power.
Here's to the man who truly is the best of us.
Who really has the key to the city? With best-in-class payload and best-in-class cargo capacity and an unsurpassed powertrain warranty, you run the town. The all-new Ram ProMaster. Guts, glory, Ram.
I heard you have a tough clog.
I only have 10 minutes.
I only need 7.
Liquid Plumber Urgent Clear penetrates the toughest clogs with 2 fast-acting gels in only 7 minutes guaranteed, baby.
Musical chairs. Fun, right? Well, not when your travel rewards card makes it so hard to get a seat using your miles. That's their game. The flights you want are blacked out, or they ask for some ridiculous number of miles. Honestly, it's time to switch to the Venture card from Capital One. With Venture, use your miles on any airline, any flight, anytime, no blackout dates. And with every purchase, you'll earn unlimited double miles. From now on, no one's taking your seat away. What's in your wallet?
Hey, I noticed your car's not in the driveway.
Yeah, it's in the shop. It's gonna cost me an arm and a leg.
That's hilarious.
Sorry.
Should have taken it to Midas. Get some of that Midas touch. They'll tell you what stuff needs fixing and what stuff can wait.
All right. Next time, going to Midas.
High five. Did not see that coming.
Get the Midas Touch maintenance package, including an oil change for only $24.99. And here's the deal. Use your Midas credit card and get a rebate of $25. Oil, tires, brakes, everything. Trust the Midas Touch.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're covered, Kevin.
Blah, blah, insurance. Person, come help.
Hey, Grandma. 6 callers ahead of us, Jimmy.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. There to help you get to a better state.
Maybe you didn't know, people with the flu can spread it up to 6 feet away. Or that flu can make chronic conditions worse. Maybe you didn't know any of the stuff your Rite Aid pharmacist knows. But now that you've gotten your flu shot at Rite Aid, maybe you don't need to.
Tuesdays.
I bought 51% of this business. I now control you, and I can throw you out.
Marcus Lemonis does whatever it takes to fix a failing business.
I'm 100% in charge.
And lastly, Uverse gives you a whole bunch of on-demand TV shows and movies. Let's get started.
Well, how many is a whole bunch? As many as Xfinity?
I swear you're gonna love it.
That didn't really answer my question.
Over 5,000 on demand.
Well, Xfinity On Demand gives us over 30,000.
We'll set it up for you.
Don't settle for Uverse. Get over 5 times more on-demand TV shows and movies on TV with Xfinity from Comcast.
Maxwell's is now open in the Driftwood Plaza of Jupiter. Gold, silver, coins, diamonds, jewelry, paintings, and objects of art. If you don't want it or wear it, sell it to Maxwell's. We buy and sell diamonds of all sizes, clarity, and condition up to 10 carats in size and above. We have decades of experience buying and selling gold, coins, diamonds, and objects of art. Maxwell's, located in the Driftwood Plaza on US 1 in Jupiter, Florida.
The mom who knows the smart ways to stretch a dollar and simple ways to get a smile. Zulily.com. Something special every day.
7 a.m. on AMHQ.
Let's get you in front of today's weather.
The biggest weather hour anywhere.
What a gorgeous start.
Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 73 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Hurricane Gonzalo, and this video before the sun went down, you just get an idea of how strong the wind was blowing here as Gonzalo made its approach to the island nation, and of course it has now made landfall as of 8:30 Eastern time, 9:30 their time in Bermuda, and we're talking about winds of 110 miles per hour. And then we saw the calm right in the center of the eye. And you just saw some power flashes right there. Well, there they go again. We're talking most of the island without power. More than 30,000 customers are in the dark, hearing the howling winds on the other side of Hurricane Gonzalo right now. In fact, during the eye of the hurricane, when everything was calm, you could actually hear the tree frogs out there, and the winds dropped dramatically. Now the winds are picking up dramatically as we're starting to see that eye wall moving right over the island once again. You can see the winds as of the newest advisory from the National Hurricane Center still at 110 miles per hour, and the pressure 951 millibars. It's moving toward the northeast at 16 miles per hour, and that's actually a good thing. It's moving right along. It's not going to linger here for too long, but as you can see, hurricane warnings do continue for the island, and those of you that still have power, still watching, hopefully you're still hunkered down because the backside of the system is going to be just as strong, if not more dangerous than what you already went through. We're talking about a shift in wind coming in from the west. Storm surge is still going to be an issue for us as we continue to track this hurricane moving past Bermuda and eventually into the northern Atlantic waters before eventually cooling down and dropping down to 70-mile-per-hour winds. We're starting to feel some of the impact from some drier air working in from the southwest side of the storm. Nick, I know you've got more on another hurricane.
Yeah, in the Central Pacific, we are talking about Hurricane Ana. It started off this morning as a tropical storm, strengthened to a hurricane this afternoon. The good news is that Hawaii is not going to see the kinds of wind that we saw in Bermuda, and perhaps not even very many conditions at all other than just some heavy rainfall at times. It does have 80-mile-per-hour winds in the center, though, and it's moving off toward the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour, and in this direction, it is going south of the Big Island. However, it still could produce at least tropical storm force winds on some of the islands here. And we do have tropical storm watches up for all of the Hawaiian island change from Ana. There's the radar, and you can see some rain already coming in from some of these outer bands into the Big Island, some of the islands up toward the north, and we'll probably see more of this rainfall too, most of the drier air staying well toward the north. Kelly?
We're going to talk more about the impact of Hurricane Ana on the Hawaiian Islands. We now have Dr. Erin Huey. She is the Director of Disaster Services for the Pacific Disaster Center. She joins us now from Maui right now. And Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Aloha, and thank you for having me.
Aloha. How are the preparations going there?
Right now, everything is going well. From the empty shelves and the long lines at the gas stations, residents and tourists seem to be heeding the warnings and paying attention to local officials.
And it wasn't too long ago we were dealing with another tropical system, Iselle, and I understand that brought down a lot of trees, a lot of power lines, and temporarily displaced people there as well.
Yes, Iselle most recently impacted the Big Island, and PDC has been working very closely with the county and state post-Iselle to provide mapping support, and we're also keeping a close eye because the Big Island is also dealing with lava from the volcano. So a lot of activity here in the Hawaiian Islands.
Wow, that is pretty crazy, all right. And, you know, Dr. Huey, thankfully this track, as Nick just showed us, is a little bit more south of you, but still not completely out of the woods, especially for Oahu and Kauai.
That is true. We're definitely encouraged by the current track, but we're also asking visitors and residents alike to make sure that they're prepared. We've encouraged them to download the PDC Disaster Alert app and to pay attention to local officials should the track change or in case they need information about sheltering.
Dr. Huey, thank you so much for joining us. We will be right back.
I got one shot. Let's go twins right, 24 stretch.
24 stretch, all diamond. Twins right, 24 stretch, all diamonds on 2 ready.
When the game's on the line.
Hit him with a hard count. See if they'll tip their hand.
The NFL trusts Duracell Quantum to power their game day communication.
They're blitzing up the gut. Get out of the pocket.
Duracell Quantum lasts up to 35% longer than the competition.
Lowe's presents how to install a new washing machine with one finger.
Maybe a little more that way. Nice.
Now get 10% off all major appliances, $3.99 and above.
Ought to be bigger.
There's nothing I can't reach in my Subaru.
Introducing the all-new Subaru Outback. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
When he first joined the Army, I was very nervous.
We didn't know what they would have him doing. But Bobby always had a plan.
With unmatched training in over 150 careers beyond the battlefield, there are over 150 surprising ways to become Army strong. Talk to your son or daughter about opportunities in the Army.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm on it. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're covered, Kevin.
Thanks, Melinda.
I have blah blah insurance, so person, come help.
Hey, Grandma. Dad, look who it is.
I see who it is.
6 callers ahead of us, Jimmy.
You're not helping.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. There to help you anytime, anywhere, anyway. That's getting to a better state.
Apples are good. As Strongbow hard cider, better. But Strongbow over ice is the best. Enjoying Strongbow over ice with your slow motion horse, the bestest. Strongbow, world's #1 hard cider.
Stanley Steamer is the first carpet cleaning service certified asthma and allergy friendly. It's our new standard of clean. Call about our $99 carpet cleaning special.
Call 1-800-STEAMER. Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
Hey, have you guys heard about probiotics?
For digestive health?
Yes, and did you know that TrueBiotics is a daily probiotic that helps in 2 ways? It supports digestive and immune health by working in your gut, where 70% of your immune system lives. Try TrueBiotics today.
It's just freaking me out.
If you missed this Sunday night on the Weather Channel,
This is crazy.
you'll never know how twisted weather can be.
Is it real? Yeah, it's real.
Wicked Weather Sundays with strangest weather on Earth and American Supernatural. Every Sunday night at 9, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 73 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
If you missed this Sunday night on the Weather Channel, you'll never know how twisted weather can be. Wicked Weather Sundays, every Sunday night at 9 on the Weather Channel.
Live from the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Hurricane Central.
And before the sun went down, this is what it looked like as Hurricane Gonzalo slammed the island of Bermuda. This is even before it made its official landfall. The center of Category 2 hurricane is now over the island.
But it is dark. Boy, is it ever dark, with 30,000 of the 35,000 customers without power, and we still have a lot more hurricane to go. Hello, I'm Nick Walker.
And I'm Kelly Cass. You're watching a special edition of Weather Center Live as we continue to follow Hurricane Gonzalo moving across the island of Bermuda.
And we are talking to hurricane specialist Michael Lowry right now. And we are dealing with a small island here.
We are.
But we are dealing with conditions that are a little bit different depending on where you are on this island.
You're exactly right, Nick. Let's talk about that. The eye of this hurricane, the calm part of it, is about 30 miles across. The width of Bermuda, only about 15 miles. So just remarkable that the calm of this hurricane, the eye of it, passing right over Bermuda. As you were mentioning, though, let's tell people Bermuda is right here, okay? So if I draw it out, it's very difficult to see, kind of situated like this. So the north end is up here and the south end over here. The south end is getting this sort of backside of the island. Well, really the entire island is, but the south end is getting it worse than the north side of the island. And I'm seeing reports for some people who are down here saying, this is worse than it was on the front side of it. And then we're hearing from, Peter Neely, who's up here. He's saying, I don't feel like it's as bad as it was on the front side of it. So just varying different locations where people are reporting different sort of things that they're seeing.
And it's all about the wind direction coming in at a different angle, maybe.
It is, yeah. So as you were saying earlier, easterly winds. Now the winds are coming in from the south. So depending on where you are, especially if you're in hillier terrain, if you're, say, upwind versus being downwind, then maybe the wind impacts are worse this time around than they were last time. So you get these local effects. Obviously, if you're in between hills, you can get funneling. So there are all sorts of things going on. But 120 mile per hour wind gusts are being reported right now on the south end of Bermuda. At their peak, 130 miles per hour. So we're basically back to where we were 2 or 3 hours ago.
I guess one of the questions is, are we going to be there for as long as we were the first time around?
Yeah, I think, at least for another hour or so, you're going to be dealing with these very strong hurricane force winds. This is a 110 mile per hour hurricane. If you're at elevation, as much of the island is, most of the interior part, even all the way down here to the south part, 80, 100 foot, 200 feet. The higher up you go in altitude, the stronger the winds. We've been saying that all day. So if you're up in altitude, you could be dealing with those very strong hurricane force gusts over 100 for another hour or two, unfortunately.
That's higher up with the wind concern, but I'm worried about the low-lying areas as far as the storm surge is concerned.
Yeah, and I just tweeted something out. The storm surge, we have one observation that's up here in the north part of Bermuda. Storm surge is already coming up there, and this is really not the worst storm surge, coastal flooding prone area. Really looking down here to the south. Unfortunately, I don't have any observations that I'm getting at this point, but I can almost guarantee you there's coastal flooding happening right now because of that shift in the wind. So the wind's now driving the water from the ocean into the harbor, and all of these low-lying areas, especially down here just to the west of Hamilton, and then points over here, Great Sound, areas to the south, they're dealing with Sandys Parish, Somerset Parish. All of these areas are dealing with storm surge flooding at this point.
And once we get this surge, how long a duration event would that be, and how long before the water actually begins to recede a bit?
I think it's going to be, say, the next 2 or 3 hours. Really, the strongest part of the storm is there, and that's usually where the storm surge begins to peak. I was mentioning Hamilton. Here is Hamilton, all right? So you have the harbor that extends right in here, and right to the west of Hamilton, that's where that power plant is. Very low-lying areas, less than 15 feet above mean sea level. So some of that water could actually push over the land and flood some of these areas. This is my main concern at this point. Everybody's been dealing with the wind, so I'm hoping at least that they're sort of just hunkered down at this point and just going to ride out the backside of this. But the areas, there are people along the coast, even people who are a little inland, didn't see the storm surge on the front side. Now they're getting it on the backside. That's a definite concern for us.
Sarah, can we zoom out and show the entire island of Bermuda? Because we want to get back to our storm chaser, Mark Sudduth. He's joining us now on the phone. Mark, while we've got the island of Bermuda here on the map, tell us exactly where you're located and what you're experiencing right now.
I'm over near the airport, and I can actually see the lights of the airport through this heavy rain, believe it or not. And I'm at the Grotto Bay Resort. People probably know this resort very well. And I was hearing you all talk about the wind and the surge. I can literally see this bay in front of me getting pushed towards the land. Obviously, it's a pretty big rise here, so it doesn't come up too high, but there's definitely the wind pushing on that water, no doubt about it.
Mark, it's almost amazing that we're able to talk with you with so many people without power. We're very fortunate that you have endured with power there. What sort of data have you been able to gather? What have you been able to get out of this very unique storm?
Well, so far, the ability to have the information coming in from our weather station before it went offline, unfortunately, we lost communication with it. And then being able to just use social media to let people know what's going on. It's really a different world that we live in where we can do that with information that's hopefully helpful. I'm in one spot, and it's nice to hear from people all over the place, obviously, in a collective manner. And we're going to have to learn a lot, though, once the sun comes up tomorrow. That'll really start to tell the story, obviously.
Mark, you were talking a lot on the front side of the storm, how the sea spray was just as these waves crashing ashore were coming all the way up to where you are at your hotel. Is that same thing happening now, or is it a little bit different?
It's not as bad, and it's not as much of a fetch that it's coming across either, I believe. And so, no, we're not getting as much sea spray at all. And the wind is not as bad as the front side. I'm not hearing that thunderous roar that almost sounds like, I call them wind bombs, these bursts, these not quite microbursts, but close enough. Not seeing as many of those, so it's not quite as unsettling.
And to Mark's point, if we can come back to my graphic here, I just want to show people where he is and just talk about why the water isn't quite as bad this go around. The winds were coming from the east earlier. Mark is over here, all right? And you have more of the bay on the east side of the causeway. Now the winds are coming out of the west, so as he was saying, not as much water for those winds to blow over and to build those seas.
I'm worried about that causeway too. It was terribly damaged during Fabian back in 2003, and I guess that's the only way to get to the airport. And Mark, I know you were planning to get out of there on Sunday, but I guess tomorrow we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.
Well, more importantly than that, I'm here to do this work. There's people that need to come in and out of here to help people recover, repair, and move on. And so that's the most important thing, is to have the airlines be able to come back in, get people in to help out, and then as the recovery process begins in earnest, get people to come back here and enjoy it as the beautiful paradise that I've known it just these couple of short days, to vacation here. That all has to happen, and it's a process. And unfortunately, it depends on, as you mentioned, that causeway, and we're just not going to know until first light.
Mark, my understanding is that it's really the north end of that causeway where you actually have a bridge that would be, if you were to say there's a weakest link, that would be the weakest link.
Right. That is correct. Jim Eds and I walked that causeway. I can't even remember which night it was. I haven't been there that long. And we walked out there very carefully. You have to be careful. There's no sidewalk. And we checked it out. And you could see where the old causeway had broken down, and it was in the water there. We had flashlights, and it was sort of a look back at history, if you will.
All right, Mark, thanks so much for the information. We're so happy that you're there and supplying the information to us, and we'll get back with you, of course, as we continue to follow the progress of Gonzalo.
Stay with us. Our coverage of this hurricane will return just after the break.
Currently in our area, 73 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
For the year. Hi, sorry, just want to say I bundled home an auto with State Farm, saved $760. Love this guy. So sorry.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Savings worth talking about. State Farm.
Break the ice with breath-freshening, cooling crystals. Icebreakers.
I heard you have a tough clog.
I only have 10 minutes.
I only need 7.
Liquid Plumber Urgent Clear penetrates the toughest clogs with 2 fast-acting gels in only 7 minutes, guaranteed, baby.
Show it off, America. Show off that belt you replaced. Show off the fuel pump, the oil change, the upgrade. You did it. There are a lot of places you can go to do it yourself, but there's only one place that can help you do it right. AutoZone. Because even the pros know parts are just part of what we do. We have the advice, the instructions, we even loan tools. So show it off, America. You did it right. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
I told my dentist about my sensitive teeth. He told me there's a whole new way to treat sensitivity. He suggested I try new Crest Sensi-Stop strips.
Just apply to the gum line of sensitive teeth for a quick 10 minutes. The special ingredient forms a lasting barrier that provides immediate relief and up to 1 month of protection. See why dental professionals endorse Crest Sensi-Stop strips to treat sensitivity. That's 1 strip, 10 minutes, and up to 1 month of protection. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Life opens up when you relieve sensitivity. Dad, I know I haven't said this often enough, but thank you.
Thank you, Mom, for protecting my future.
Thank you for being my hero and my dad.
Military families are uniquely thankful for many things. The legacy of USAA Auto Insurance could be one of them. If you're a current or former military member or their family, get an auto insurance quote and see why 92% of our members plan to stay for life.
Since 1902, Carrier has been inventing new ways to make people comfortable. And today, comfort can also mean efficiency. Because being more efficient with your home heating can mean spending less on it. And that's something everyone can get comfortable with. If you're ready for Carrier comfort, now you can get cool cash rebates of up to $1,450 on a new system. Carrier, turn to the experts.
The kids are asleep.
Look what I got.
Oh, my Fruit Loops.
Let's do this.
Get up.
Loop me.
Bring back the awesome.
Yeah!
With a great taste of Kellogg's Fruit Loops.
Follow your nose.
What do astronauts eat? Have lunch with one and find out. Only at Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Meet real astronauts, see Space Shuttle Atlantis, and experience firsthand the future of America's space exploration.
View from above, brought to you by Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Explore more at tourksc.com.
Welcome back, everyone, as we continue to cover Hurricane Gonzalo, which made a landfall here in Bermuda at 8:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 Bermuda time, as a Category 2 hurricane with winds of 110 miles per hour. It is still packing those dangerous wind speeds. It's moving toward the north-northeast at 16 miles per hour. For a while, we had the calm of the eye, but now we're getting into those strong winds on the other side of the eye, in the eye wall. And you can see hurricane warnings do continue for the island nation, and you can see it's a Category 2 will continue to be very strong the next few hours. Still very dangerous. Stay inside. Most of the island without power. We're talking about more than 30,000 customers in the dark tonight as they're listening to those howling winds and the rain outside. And then eventually the system does weaken as it moves into the cooler waters of the northern Atlantic. And it's also experiencing some drier air coming in from the southwest side, but still the weakening not happening quick enough. It's still a dangerous blow for Bermuda. Nick?
Of course, we're continuing to receive a lot of videos from Bermuda before and during the storm. We want to break down how this storm came into the island with a few visuals for you. We have 3 videos to show you now to help you really see how this storm affected the coast of Bermuda. This first video, things fairly calm here, a little bit of breezes blowing some of the palm fronds around here, and you can see a few whitecaps out here. This was taken about 9 o'clock Eastern time. Bermuda's about an hour ahead, so this was about 10 o'clock their time. The center of Gonzalo at this point was about 100 to 200 miles away. All right, so not a whole lot of effects at this point. Tropical storm force winds had yet to be felt. Normally you'd see some cruise ships out here, but no cruise ships today. And schools were closed, and the causeway closed shortly after this was taken at about 10:40. So let's fast forward now and show you just before 3 o'clock Eastern time some video. 4 p.m. Bermuda time, almost 6 hours after the first video that we saw. Quite a bit of difference, don't you see? Yeah, and now we have the Eye of Gonzalo still a ways away, about 75 miles away, but this is when our man in Bermuda, Peter Neely, the Vice President, Senior Vice President of Global Forecasting, said things really began to go downhill. And you can see what he was talking about. We've got the shaking of the camera. We've got water on the lens of the camera here. And look at the palm fronds in these northeasterly winds really just going this direction. And look at the waves beginning to come up now over the walkway, really beginning to inundate. And you can look out here and see the white caps and the heavy swells really beginning to go here. So this is when we really began to see things go downhill a lot. About this time we had a gust at St. George's on the north end of the island at more than 101 miles per hour, and reports of waves on the south shore at about 30 feet. At this point, too, we should mention about 13,000 customers were without power. We were beginning to see some of those hurricane conditions. Then let's go 1 hour. 1 hour from here and show you. Just 1 hour later, and you can see even worse conditions. Really going down here with the Eye of Gonzalo about 50 miles away now. We still have the worst winds offshore, 50 miles away. But this is the situation here around Commissioner's Point. Palm tree, the fronds were not only blowing, but look, notice that some of the trees are starting to bend just a little bit as well. And even more of those heavy swells and whitecaps, and a lot of those waves really coming up on some of the walkways here. So that's when we really had things going down here. At this point, about 16,000 of the island's 35,000 customers were without power, and then it got even worse from there. You know, we had 127 mile per hour wind gusts. We had wind gusts here up to 130 miles per hour just a couple of hours later, and that is where the winds peaked at this point here around Commissioner's Point. So you can see, obviously, no activity here, everyone inside, and things were really getting going here. Then we've got the now picture, okay? And we had that calm. Things really began to calm down to really nothing, to about 10 mile per hour winds, from 130 miles per hour to about a half hour later to about 10 miles per hour. And now we begin to see the winds picking up again. And we're seeing those hurricane-force wind gusts now here around Commissioner's Point once again. So that is the timeline of how things shaped up here from the ground in Hurricane Gonzalo this afternoon and this evening.
This is our new turkey cranberry flatbread before we craft it into a sandwich. The tender, slow-roasted turkey, the zesty cranberry mostarda, the freshly baked flatbread, paired perfectly with our autumn squash soup. A delicious meal made just for you, only at Panera Bread.
It's a great day to try Panera Bread's Fuji Apple Chicken Salad.
Get up to 20% off and 1,000 rewards points at bestwestern.com with a swipe, a tap, or a click. Get up to 20% off and enjoy breakfast, free high-speed internet, and 1,000 rewards points. Only at bestwestern.com.
You're going to want to watch 7 a.m. on AMHQ.
This is a big weather morning.
The biggest weather hour anywhere. What you watch in the morning matters.
Let's get weather geeky this morning.
Make AMHQ your morning show. America's morning headquarters. Weekday mornings starting live at 7 Eastern on the Weather Channel.
Every Sunday, a new tale of weather legend. American Supernatural, Sunday nights at 10 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 73 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
When your house loses power, it can be tough for your family. But not if your family has a Kohler generator. Restores power automatically in as little as 10 seconds and is backed by a 5-year limited warranty. Kohler generators. Keep your family flowing.
When the power goes out, you'll go on. Contact your Kohler Generators dealer today.
It's Chevy Truck Month, time when truck guys can depend on great offers on the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Chevy Silverado, from the family of the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road. It's Truck Month. Trade up to this Silverado Crew Cab LT All-Star Edition for a total value of $8,500. It's Truck Month. See your local Chevy dealer today.
That looks terrible.
Hey there!
Gorilla Clear Repair.
Of course.
Gorilla Clear Repair provides a high-tack adhesive with durable, weather-resistant backing that conforms for a crystal clear fix.
Good work, hon. While you were...
What are your neighbors doing? Oh, are they gyrating? Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the no rain dance.
They don't have Xfinity, so bad weather interferes with their satellite service.
It's a no rain dance. Wow.
You should see them on game days.
It looks like fun.
It's not.
Don't settle for outdated satellite. Get reliable TV service rain or shine with Xfinity.
Behavioral Health of the Palm Beaches Recovery Center for Men provides quality, evidence-based treatment to men battling addiction. Offering medical detox, expert counseling from licensed clinical therapists, and activity-based therapies, we help men overcome their addiction and rebuild their lives. We understand the unique substance abuse issues that men face and are ready to help you take your life back. Visit rehabformen.com to get your fresh start.
Weezable. Something, what would I do without you? Every day. Zulily.com. Something special every day.
7 a.m. on AMHQ.
Let's get you in front of today's weather.
The biggest weather hour anywhere.
What a gorgeous start.
Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Hurricane Gonzalo, a dangerous threat for Bermuda as it made landfall just a couple of hours ago. But these scenes from earlier this afternoon or this evening before the sun went down, just to show you how strong the wind was blowing there. We had some very heavy rain with the northern eye wall as it passed over Bermuda. Then we saw the calm inside the middle, the center of the hurricane. And now, of course, we're dealing with the other side of the eye wall. But you can certainly see and even hear some of the wind that was just howling out there. We're talking winds better than 100 miles per hour, and this is still a Category 2 hurricane even now.
Welcome back to this special edition of Weather Center Live. I'm Nick Walker along with Kelly Cass and hurricane specialist Michael Lowry. And Michael, you know, we don't want to downplay the danger of this storm and the damage that it's already been caused, but I tell you what, for weather geeks, this is really one that we're going to remember for a while.
This has been quite a night, Nick, for so many reasons here. Gusting winds to 120 or 130 miles per hour. We don't typically talk about wind gusts because we don't deal with areas that have such high terrain as they do there in Bermuda. But those wind gusts, right now, this is what's happening right now on the left side of your screen. We're getting those 120 mile per hour wind gusts on the south side of the island, moving to the north part of the island. So they are in the thick of it. I mean, you know, we saw really bad conditions 2 hours ago with that initial eye wall, the front part of it. You can hear it just roaring, guys. Now we're getting the back part of it. And we've been talking about this evening how the storm surge and the water levels are now really coming up on those west-facing shorelines.
It's been amazing to see the center actually go right over Bermuda. We heard the tree frogs, for crying out loud, when it got really calm, about 10 miles per hour in the middle of the storm. And now we're facing the other side, this other dangerous eye wall coming through. But, I mean, the Atlantic is huge. For that eye to pass right over Bermuda, it's pretty remarkable.
An historic night for all of the folks in Bermuda. The strongest hurricane, at least since Fabian in 2003, maybe even stronger than that. We'll kind of see what the light of day shows us. This is the second tropical cyclone. They had a tropical storm that made landfall there on Sundays. This is the second one in less than a week. I mean, as you said, just remarkable for such a small island in the middle of the vast Atlantic Ocean.
And I'm loving this image that you have here on this microwave satellite showing just, you know, the Bermuda passing right through the center of it.
Yeah, if you look at this, Nick, really interesting stuff that is going on inside the hurricane. One of our satellites were able to look down through the clouds, almost like an MRI, and look at this very bright band of colors right next to the eye, boom, right over Bermuda. So not only the eye wall, but the very worst of the convection of the thunderstorms, a big blow up. Look at that.
Right there.
Right as it moved over Bermuda. So the strongest of the strong when it comes to the winds. I mean, they got, unfortunately, the worst of this. It had weakened a little bit, but, you know, not enough.
I mean, at its peak, a couple of days ago, was what, 145?
It was 145 miles per hour. It was a Category 4 hurricane, a very strong one at that. And coming down, it made landfall officially as a Category 2 hurricane, 110 mile per hour winds. Again, that's at the surface of the ocean. This camera that you're seeing here, I bet you those are 120 mile per hour wind gusts that you're seeing there. It's difficult to see, obviously. It's dark there. I'm amazed, guys. Look, there's power on in some places.
What we can't really see, though, at least from this vantage point, is the kind of surge that we can expect out of this.
Just listen to these sounds, Nick.
No nobody should be out in that. And you know, we were wondering if a lot of people were going to go out in the middle of the hurricane when it was calm and listening to the tree frogs and, you know, just kind of looking around at some of the damage. But hopefully everybody got inside fast enough, because those winds, they picked up really quickly.
They did. We were looking at video earlier. I don't know if it was from the same camera or from another camera where you could hear those tree frogs almost completely calm, and we saw cars moving around in the photograph. Hopefully those cars got back to safety and people got back into their shelters, because, or their, you know, kind of safe part of their homes, because this is really as bad as the front part of the hurricane.
And we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah. No, you got the backside right here. Another at least hour or two where those rip-roaring winds are going to be moving through here. So we'll keep you posted on this one. I do want to bring everybody up to speed on what's happening here in the Pacific Ocean just very quickly, Kelly. This is Hurricane Ana, 80-mile-per-hour winds moving northwest at 13, just to the south of Hawaii. Tropical storm watches are up for the entire state right now. Tropical storm conditions are possible. Those winds 39 miles per hour or higher. The main impact from this, Kelly, is going to be the rain. Potentially heavy rainfall that could lead to mudslides and landslides over the next few days. I think the core of this, though, should stay south of all of those islands.
All right, thanks so much, Michael. And we will continue to follow both Ana and Gonzalo here for the next few hours as we still have hurricane force winds there in Bermuda.
Currently in our area, 72 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, mostly clear, low 66. Winds light and variable. Saturday, mostly sunny skies. High 84. Here's our 7-day outlook.
The winds are back with Hurricane Gonzalo, and we continue to see the eye now kind of fading away here over Bermuda, and we're beginning to see more of those convective bands from the southern end of Hurricane Gonzalo making their way up into the Bermuda area. This is what it looked like earlier before landfall, as heavy rainfall and hurricane force winds inundated the island. Then the eye came, things calmed down, and now we're back again with these hurricane force winds. Just listen to them. That is still one powerful hurricane, 110 mile per hour winds, a category 2 now. And we're continuing to follow the progress of Gonzalo. Hello, I'm Nick Walker, and we are continuing to see how...
You're watching the Weather Channel.
And certainly we will continue to monitor what's going on with Gonzalo, which of course made landfall as a category 2 hurricane at 8:30 East Coast time, 9:30 Bermuda time. And when the eye moved over, it was calm. The winds had died down quite a bit, but now, Michael, we're seeing the resumption of those very strong hurricane winds.
They've been in the, I mean, there was a little bit, maybe a 40-minute window there where the winds went to calm. Listen to those winds. I mean, it's just incredible. But they've been in this, Kelly, for now 2.5 hours. The strongest of this hurricane. They've seen hurricane force winds since this afternoon. Yeah.
And we saw Faye, which was not nearly as strong, do a lot of damage as it moved through Bermuda just a few days ago. But now, of course, we've got Gonzalo coming through, more than 30,000 customers without power. I'm really worried about what we're going to see when we have daylight.
It's one thing to get, you know, a tornado move through in a matter of, say, 10 minutes. It's another thing to have prolonged 74, 100 mile per hour wind gust for 5-6 hours, and just all these buildings and infrastructure taking a beating, one hit after another from these very powerful winds.
It's got to be very wearing on the folks, and obviously we've heard reports of how well prepared they were, sure, of the positive attitude that so many of them had in getting ready and being able to survive this kind of hurricane.
That's all you can hope for, Nick. You know, most deaths in hurricanes are due to drowning and due to the water. So if you can get people up and get them into a secure spot, into a safe, low-profile building, you can actually survive these winds. I know when you're in it, it doesn't feel that way. It's incredibly scary, especially when the power is out, especially when it's a night landfall, and that's what we're dealing with here in Bermuda.
And people without power, probably not able to really see or hear what's going on, except for the sound of the wind right outside their door. But of course, there is the worry of storm surge now, especially with that shift in wind that we're seeing now that the eye has gone to the north.
I want to talk about that really quickly, Kelly. The threat earlier, we had easterly winds. The threat earlier were on these west-facing shorelines. The areas that you're seeing outlined in red here, those are the lowest lying areas along the coast, say areas that are, say, 15 feet or less below or above sea level, rather. Now, I'm going to zoom out and show you, though, there's a big bay here, a lagoon, if you will, and that storm surge is going to funnel up here into parts of Hamilton Harbor, Morgan's Point, Jews Bay. These are very, very low-lying areas, and you can see on our satellite picture there are homes in these areas, and we can only hope. It did really sound like, talking to the premier there earlier, that they were very well prepared, and I would guess that they've got everybody to high ground at this point. I mean, if you're in these locations, it's a terrible thing, because it's not the storm surge, it's also the waves on top of that, very destructive waves. It doesn't take a lot of moving water to cause a lot of problems, because water so much heavier than air, 1,000 times denser than air is.
And we also, make no mistake, this is still a very powerful hurricane. We don't want to, imply at all that this is a weaker hurricane. There's no such thing as a weak hurricane. Very little difference between where we are right now and really the Category 3 that we had before landfall.
Yeah, we get focused on the category of these storms, Nick. Category 2 hurricane can cause lots and lots of problems. That wind, though, that shift in wind, that's going to push the water. Here is Hamilton Harbor, pushing some of that water maybe into the low-lying spots around their power company there, the Bermuda Electric Company. We have to watch for that. But look at these winds. I mean, that is what's causing the storm surge. That's what's causing the waves. It's not just the ferocity of the wind, but it's also the breadth, the scope of the winds. The winds